Hi everyone and welcome to another podcast. It's Darren, Fletcher and Vernon Kerr. This is The Extra Point. Darren, it's been a while.
It has. I obviously skipped a week based on the fact that we had the trip and we did the live one and we had a great time, and then we've kind of, that was needed a week to get over it and recover.
Hey, I'll be honest with you, Darren. I am still feeling the repercussions of pleasure and pain.
Ooh. Well, I noticed you put another picture up this morning just to reminisce.
Yeah, I did put another picture up because you know when you do that doom scrolling thing, you spend a lot of time looking at other people's stuff. So I thought, no, this morning I'm going to look at our stuff. So I went through it all, and that picture of us three, myself, you and Ali, is just a classic. It's a classic. It really is. And it just goes to summarise the fun that we had, really. That's why I put it up there. Because the trip, I mean, we may as well talk about it again. It was just exceptional.
Yeah. He's I don't think he's quite come down yet, Ali. I don't think he expected it to be that good. And nothing kind of dampened the enthusiasm. The rain at USC was fine. In fact, I remember the day more because it was raining than if it was just a normal kind of California day. The Rams game was great. We got to meet Adam after. I'd not met Adam properly. Your old coach at the Warriors, who's DC at Seattle now. What a lovely fella. And then, of course, we get Monday night, and that's where you got the picture that you put up the other day. So, yeah, it was sensational. I think the next one that the guys are doing around the NFL is the Super Bowl. So if you fancy going to the Super Bowl, give Ben and the team a shout at Elite Sports Travel. Vernon and I will be desperately trying to blag our way onto that in the next few weeks, which I'm sure Ben's aware of. But he may as well hear it publicly for the first time that we are expecting to be on that trip in some way,
Well,
shape.
you know, we emphasise it all the time, and I'm going to do it again. You get on the plane, you get off the plane. Everything in the middle is not your responsibility.
Yeah, which is a good thing, really, because if I had any kind of responsibility on a trip like that, then I'd just be a complete waste of time.
I know, well, bearing in mind that it isn't our responsibility, I lost my mobile phone.
You did. In a taxi, which you got it back, though.
I got it back. Yeah, I got it back. A friend of mine works out there in the nightclubs with all the big DJs, Calvin Harris, etc., etc. And I said, look, I found my phone. Find my iPhone. Praise the Lord. And it was in one of these taxi storage units. And I said to the lady, I managed to track this building down on the west side of Las Vegas. And I said, hi, I wonder if you could help me. I've had a ping on my Find My iPhone. It's in your facility. I left it in this taxi owned by this taxi company, blah, 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 blah. She said, describe it to me. I said, well, it's black in a hard case and it's an iPhone 13. She said, honey, in the past 3 days, I've had 93 black iPhones alone. So you imagine what people get up to lose that amount of mobile phones.
No. Well, exactly. We're not suggesting you were up to anything. We're just suggesting that you lost your iPhone.
No, I'll tell you what it was. My credit card, my cash card, sorry, my debit card wouldn't work in the taxi because of, we're in a foreign land. So I tapped it and then I put my wallet. I used my phone and it wouldn't tap abroad. So I put my phone on the seat in the taxi, got my wallet out, inserted my card, put the pin in. That worked. Put the wallet in the pocket, left the taxi with the phone on the taxi back seat. Yeah. Nightmare.
Ridiculous. Touching wood, and I'm touching wood now. Never lost the phone. Never.
Oh, good lad.
Touching wood, never lost the phone.
Strong.
This cannot be a precursor to me losing the phone this weekend. I'm touching wood. I've never lost the phone.
Where are you this weekend?
So this weekend, I've had a week actually, really. So this weekend, I've got a great game. I'm doing Arsenal against Villa at Villa Park, which I think is great. I think Villa might nick some in there against Arsenal and blow the title race wide open. Then we've got Man City in the Bernabeu against Real Madrid on Wednesday night next week.
What?
So I know it's going to be awesome. But I tell you what I did 2 days ago, Vern. Very, very humbling experience. We did and we'll get to the NFL in a minute. But
yeah,
we did a charity event a few weeks back in Nottingham, and we raised a lot of money on the night. And a mate of mine, he wanted to take terminally ill kids to Lapland. So we ended up doing the night, and he's grafted really hard to do it, to kind of make it all possible. Chartered a plane, did everything, and on Wednesday we took 45 families, all with terminally ill children, to Lapland for the day. And I've got to say to you, I've got quite a hard exterior. We've known each other for for a while. But the kind of way it makes your mind work on a day like that. I mean, you do a lot with children in need on a much grander scale than this, so you kind of know where I'm coming from. I can't really, and I'm supposed to be able to describe things. That's what I get paid to do. But I still can't really describe it. It was the most humbling day that I've ever had. But then the contradiction of that is, can a humbling day be the most rewarding day? Because it all kind of goes against it. And everything fell into that bracket. And everybody had a great time. But I tell you what I thought. I thought, if that was me as a parent, how would I handle it? How would I deal with it? And I thought to myself, we would all find a way to deal with it. It would be our way. But I don't think I would handle it as well as the 45 families on that plane. The respect I had for the people from minute one, the way they dealt with everything, was mind-blowing. Life-changing in many ways in terms of your outlook. And I don't know. I don't quite know how long it's going to take me for my mind to get back to what it was like before I left for the airport that morning. But it was an amazing day, and to see smiles on faces like we did, it's something I'll treasure for the rest of my life. And I've never been involved in children in need like you are each year, and to experience something similar was an astonishing experience. Absolutely astonishing experience.
I can tell. And it brings it home, like you said, Darren, that when you've got kids and you hear these stories and you see these stories, these are people going around and about their everyday life. Mm. But that most precious thing in a couple's life, when the son, daughter, when they need help, your world is focused truly on them. And you would have realised that those parents in particular, God, you've got me, terminally ill.
Yeah, mate, it was.
Yeah, I can imagine that when those parents got on that plane, they were expecting something that is going to be truly amazing, and I've no doubt it was, a wonderful trip. But then when you get back on the plane and you step back into reality, that must really hurt.
Yeah, but
that must really hurt.
But it's how it was how, no matter what it would have felt like inside, for them, how they handled it was, I can't understand it. I would have been broken. I think I'm a strong fella. I think I'm mentally strong, and I think
you're one of the strongest people I know, Darren.
But I looked at that and I thought, no, I couldn't handle it like they did, and the respect that I had for everybody, and was off the scale. Aaron, my mate, ALB Given, who did it, unbelievable. Tui, who looked after us on the day and couldn't have been better, astonishing, and it was just wow. It was just. Yeah, it's a day that makes me smile and cry in equal measure, and I've never ever experienced anything like that.
Let me just ask you this quick question, Darren. What were you like when you got back to Lauren and the kids?
They were all in bed because it's a long day. So I left at 4 and I got back at nearly midnight, and everybody was in bed. But the first thing I did the next morning was just go and make sure that both my children knew exactly what I feel about them, and if I could have woken them up on the night and done it, I would have done that. But I didn't want to break the sleep. But the first thing I did in the morning was tell them about the day and tell them what I feel about them. Because I mean, I do it all the time. I always tell them. I'm not one of those parents that don't. I do tell them, and they know exactly. But I just felt that I got to tell them again. Yeah. I don't know. Mate, it was.
It is. Yeah. It is tough. It is tough, and it's even more tough because we're not going through it.
No,
we're just observing it.
But you're also useless.
Yeah,
you can't help. You give anything at that point, and I know it's an old cliche. The cliche is that the most valuable thing in is life. It's health. You'd give everything you've got.
Health is your wealth. Yeah,
of course it is, and it's days like that that absolutely reinforce that point that you can do anything. But unless you've got that, that's everything.
Yeah.
And
well done you, Darren. And well done. What was your mate called?
So he's called Aaron Bailey. And
well done, Aaron.
It was something that he wanted to do, and we did it with When You Wish Upon a Star. And what? By the way, what a great bunch of people. And everybody bent over backwards to make the day what it was. And just a massive thank you to everybody that were either generous enough on the night to put their hand in the pocket at a really difficult time and make it possible, to everybody that put the hours in to kind of make it work. It was just perfect. Really.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Brilliant. And just one last thing from experience, when you sit with kids who have a condition and when you talk to them, and one thing that I've realised from working with Great Ormond Street is you shouldn't feel embarrassed or uncomfortable about talking about what their condition is, because they've embraced it, the parents have embraced it, and if you kind of dilly-dally around the periphery of, oh, are you okay? No, it doesn't work, because we know that the kids and the parents aren't okay. Just ask the question. Hi, tell me what's your condition, what's going on? And that's something that I learned, and you've got to approach it, with cotton wool, but it's braver to ask than to be ignorant and just assume. And it's always the parents who I find are the strongest. When the parents step out the room and you have a one-to-one with the parents, then they tell you how difficult it is. Because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes parents keep a little bit back from the kid, especially if they're really young and they don't necessarily understand. And it's the parents. You can see it in the parents' eyes, and it's heartbreaking. It really is.
Yeah. But that was the week.
Yeah, well done. Well done, pal.
That was the week, and I'm hoping that we get to do it again.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, because that sounds absolutely awesome, Darren.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we make it more of a regular thing.
Just a quick question: were all the kids from the Nottingham area?
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, every
Brilliant.
Single one. Yeah, and it's difficult in our city because, in London or Manchester, places like bigger cities where you can raise funds easier. I mean, it was the Nottingham people did it. The people of Nottingham did it, and I was proud of everybody for doing it, because it's not easy. You're coming up to Christmas, the state the country's in, people haven't got any cash, and everybody was unbelievably generous on the night to make it possible. And I didn't realise how much you need to make these things possible. I mean, it's outrageous what it costs. I mean, it's outrageous, but we did it, and that's it.
Brilliant.
Apologies. I just want to kind of. I don't know.
No, don't apologise, because
say well done to people for doing it.
We have a specific
lot of
demographic that watches and listens to the Extra Point podcast, and it's predominantly male.
Yeah.
And there's always a headline in the story about fellas, men, masculinity, not emotional enough. But I think when you crack the nut, the soft centre, it's always there, and I think we are more emotionally attached than we think, some more than others, but eventually, I think it's great to raise that, because a lot of people watching will have family members or, more directly their own kids with some kind of condition. So if that is you, then we send you all our very, very best and our heartfelt well wishes for the festive season.
Yeah,
right.
we send lots of love.
Yeah, let's crack on with the football. Can I start, Darren?
Of course you can.
I want your opinion on the Bills.
Oof.
I'm going in.
Yeah.
I'm going in, right? Because for many years now, the Buffalo Bills have done what many franchises try to do. They try to build the franchise via the draft. The odd free agent here and there. They've got a great head coach. They've got a fabulous quarterback, which is undeniably one of the top three, I would say, in the league. Why can't they get things going, Darren? This should be their year. Everyone has put a lot of people have put a lot of money on the Bills lifting the Lombardi this year, but they just can't gather a head of steam.
I think if you look at the offense, quarterback, as you say, top three for sure. Some would say top one. Running back, as good as any running back in the league, Cook. I look at the wide receivers. Kincaid's fine as a tight end, but the wide receivers, I think they're short. And I just don't think with Sean McDermott as your head coach, they should be better defensively than they are. And I look at it and I think I only ever feel that Buffalo can win a Super Bowl if they play at home. They've got to get home field. They've got to play the conference championship game in Buffalo. They're not going to do that this year because they're not going to win the division. I mean, New England are going to win the division. And at the minute, New England are going to get home field advantage or Denver through the playoffs. And I don't like Buffalo on the road against either of them. So it's funny how we think about this, because I was going to say to you, kind of expanding on that a little bit. I think this is going to be one of those years that we don't get very often, where you get teams in the conference championship game and the Super Bowl that you don't expect to see. It wouldn't surprise anybody right now if the Chicago Bears played the New England Patriots in a repeat of Super Bowl 20, because you've got the top seed in the NFC and you've got a Patriots team that look as good as any. So I'm kind of thinking...
Hang on. Hey, pack it in.
Is that your dog?
Yeah.
Is that your dog?
Well, you know, Darren, and regular listeners will know, it's not really a dog. Blue, come here. Come on. There's something in the back garden. It must be a pheasant or a deer.
I can see you've got complete control over it. It's ignored you on both commands. To stop
it's only a chihuahua as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Go on.
Listen, I don't mind a dog. I had Phil Jagielka's dog barking in the background last Friday. Burns got to sort the dog out.
It's a deer. It's a deer.
I'm kind of looking at it. I think the last one like this would be Super Bowl 50 when the Broncos beat the Panthers, and you've got a couple of teams. I mean, I know Peyton Manning was the quarterback in Denver, but everybody would have expected Brady and the Patriots to get there that year, and then Carolina were a surprise team in the NFC. You could get something similar. And I think now the teams that have dominated for a while, Kansas City need a bit of a rethink, Buffalo need a bit of a rethink, seems like Baltimore need a bit of a rethink, maybe even Philly need a bit of a rethink. The defending champions, because with the talent they've got on the roster, there's still doubts about the head coach and one or two other things. This could be one of those years where we see a little bit of the changing of the guard, because if you think about the teams that are doing well, Caleb Williams, year 2 in Chicago, Drake May, year 2 in New England, Jaden Daniels had the Commanders in the NFC Championship game as a rookie last year. Bo Nix, year 2, Denver. The new quarterbacks, the successful quarterbacks, are on teams that have been bad for a period of time. That's why they got them. But now they're performing. This is going to be one of the best quarterback draft classes, it seems, for a long, long time, because all 4 are hits, and certainly 3 of them, Daniels, May and Williams, are franchise quarterbacks. We'll find out, but Bo Nix has got Sean Payton, so he's got a fair chance. So you've certainly got 3 out of 4. So you've got this change in the guard. So I think it's an interesting year, and I don't know whether this is going to be a year that's an aberration, and then next year Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and those franchises are back and dominating again, or whether we're getting to the situation now where it's going to flip.
Like a changing of the guard.
Yeah, you're going to get new teams that are going to be the dominant teams now for the next, 6, 7, 10 years. Because it's possible.
That excites me.
Yeah.
That excites me, because it's nice for the fan bases of all those teams, but also nice for us, people who look at the NFL from the outside. There was a period where I remember we were sat up in the gantry in Miami when we were watching the Kansas City Chiefs. And you said, this is going to be a long, long, long road for the Kansas City Chiefs. We both thought that it would be Chiefs, because they had all the weapons. But because of the way the game is designed, like you said, this draft class is going to be pretty decent. It may go down in history as one of the best ever if the quarterbacks under the current coaches do exceptionally well for a prolonged period of time. But the Chiefs have dropped off. Do you know what I mean? They can't find a way to win close games. And it's going to be really, really interesting. The Philadelphia Eagles, they had all the weapons. So everyone thought that Saquon Barkley, maybe this is the Saquon Barkley that we're seeing that the Giants saw. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think the interesting aspect as well is, for anybody who's been an NFL fan for a while, and we have, this is almost like going back to what it was like when I started watching it. That the Bears were a dominant team in the NFC. The Rams were a really good team in the NFC. The Broncos with John Elway were great in the AFC. New England got to a Super Bowl the first year I watched it and played Chicago and lost.
Under Steve Grogan.
Yeah, Tony Eason got smashed
Tony Eason,
before Steve Grogan came in, if you remember. I think Tony he's still in the hospital, Tony Eason. I don't think he's ever got out. But it's gone back to what it was like before. And of course, Washington were good last year, and when they were the Redskins with John Riggins and Joe Theismann, they were great. And for our demographic of people who listen to the podcast, all of these teams resonate, and I think it's good for UK fans because these are the teams. If you do a straw poll of popular teams in the UK, the teams that are coming back to the fore have had traditional fan bases for a while. I mean, there's a lot of New England fans from the Brady years, but then if you go back to NFL supporters mid 80s into the mid 90s, it was all about Chicago, it was all about Dallas, it was all about Denver. I mean, there's a lot of the Rams. I mean, there's a lot of our fan base will really appreciate the rise. I mean, I think there's a few Kansas City fans in the UK, but they're all relatively new to the party. Nobody in the 80s was choosing Kansas City as a team when it was. Yeah. I think Bill Kenny was the quarterback the first year I watched. I remember.
Yeah. Two of my mates. My brother's a Commanders fan.
Yeah.
The middle linebacker.
A Redskins fan, though, I presume.
Yeah, Redskins fan. Yeah. My very dear friend who I played football with when I was 13, John, he's a former Redskins fan. My dad's a 49ers fan. These are all teams that were at the peak who had the iconic players, the poster boys. And we've talked about this many, many times. There were only a few things available back in the mid to late 80s that represented our sport. And it was those big iconic poster people, like your Joe Montanas, your Dan Marinos. Neil, for example, is a Dolphins fan.
He is.
So those teams are slowly, well, not the Dolphins, but they're slowly coming back on the turntable and spinning back into successful seasons and successful franchises. The one franchise, you mentioned them earlier on, the one franchise that I'd like to see become successful again, and I don't know why, and there's no rhyme or reason behind it, is I like the fact that the Panthers are on this little bit of a pick-me-up.
Dear, I hate it because they killed my acca. Because they were the nailed on. I think I got the Rams -7.5 in the spread, and I got on the money line. I got Rams absolute nailed on.
Why couldn't they beat the Rams? No one had that.
No
one had that.
I'm not a big fan of the Panthers this week because I would have been a big fan last week had it not been for them. They were the only team that let me down, the Rams. But no, look, I get it too, and I get that as well because it's nice. But if you said to me now, who do you think the conference championship games are going to be? I would confidently say in the AFC that it'll be New England against Denver. If whoever gets home field, it's a little bit too early to say that. And in the NFC, I can see Chicago getting to a championship game against the Rams. Absolutely. Whether Seattle can kind of mess that up a little bit, because I think on their day they're as good as anybody. I just think they're lacking a bit of consistency at the quarterback position. Defensively, they've been great. But I think that could be a fly in the ointment. And if Philly get it right, it doesn't look like they're going to, but if they did, they still got the best roster in the NFL, so they could go on a tear. But it does look like now you'd end up with Denver, Chicago, New England, and maybe the Rams as the final four.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and to say nobody's going to say to you, well, that's a stupid suggestion at this stage, just based on the records and the way they're playing. I think the Bears have won, is it 9 out of 10 or something daft like that at the minute? Drake May looks as good as any player in the league for New England right now, and I still think the Rams are the best team in the NFL, even with that loss. I mean, that was a day where the defense shouldn't play like that, but it did play like that, but it hasn't been playing like that. So if they get back to what they were, they're going to be a tough out for anyone. So
and also, Darren, we've had I know they had a horrendous start to the season, the Dallas Cowboys, since they got rid of Parsons, but they've come back in the loop. But then the game yesterday, as we're recording this, Thursday night game versus the Detroit Lions, what a game that was. I've just quickly scanned the highlights. And that, if you're looking for a game that represents this NFL at the moment, go and watch that.
Yeah.
Go and watch that. It was basically a 3-hour highlight reel.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Neil disagreed. So I don't want to go too deep into it because he's not here to put me right. But I think, and I might be in the minority, but I think, in hindsight, Jerry Jones might just be doing it right now in Dallas. That trade of Micah Parsons, and then to get Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson on the deadline, if you look at their offense, they've got 2 number ones in Lamb and Pickens, and they've got to try and find a way to re-sign Pickens. Javonte Williams is playing as well as he's played in the NFL. He's back to being what he was like in his first season in Denver. They've spent high picks on the offensive line, so that should mature and come together. And Dak Prescott is playing as well as Dak Prescott's ever played. So the offense is fine. You look at the defensive side, he's got Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, so you can't run on them anymore. He's got an active linebacker, and he's got Overshown, who all of a sudden is healthy, and he's flying around the field. I think if they can get maybe a little bit more pass rush and maybe help the secondary out, then I think Dallas going into next season will feel really good about itself as a contender in the NFC. And I think that'll be, because don't forget they've got a lot of picks now coming as well because of this Parsons trade. And do you know the one thing Jerry Jones is pretty good at is drafting early. I'm not necessarily, he's not bad, you know, for a GM that was a wildcatter. They get a lot of talent, don't they? When they've always got star players, and they've always got star players that they draft. So he's relatively good at that.
Yeah.
I think he makes some weird decisions in terms of how he pays people and why he boxes himself into a corner because he leaves it till the last minute. Then he's got to.
He's unpredictable. That's what he is.
Yeah. But I think there are, and that's great for the NFL because they are still, without a doubt. If you speak to anybody that works in the US, whenever they speak about Dallas on the television or the radio, the ratings go up. The Dallas Cowboys are still the biggest talking point in the NFL. Even though they've not won a Super Bowl for, 30 years? They're still the team that rates. If you can lead your ESPN program on a Tuesday morning with stuff on Dallas, everybody's tuning in. So it's great for the league if Dallas are back. And I think I just think they're always fascinating because of Jarrell Wayne Jones, the owner.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
And also, if you haven't seen it, go and check out the Netflix program.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It is.
It's brilliant. And by the way, if you've not seen it, check the Saquon Barkley doc. It's on either Amazon Prime or Netflix. And it's all behind the scenes stuff about when the Giants let him go. And having watched that, how Joe Shane is still the general manager of the New York Giants, I have absolutely no idea. I'm making a bold prediction that he won't be the GM by the time they draft again. Because, I mean, the way that was handled was
shocking.
Appalling. I mean, Saquon Barkley was literally begging to stay with the Giants. Literally begging to stay with the Giants. And all he wanted was bare market value. And they weren't prepared to do it. Then they blew a ton of cash on Daniel Jones, who they ended up releasing. Then they couldn't, Barkley had gone to Philly and wins the Super Bowl. It was all like, what? And he seems a really, I mean, I know you're going to act up for the cameras, but he seems a really genuine guy. And it was funny because on one of the, I don't know whether you've seen it, but he's playing, I think he might be, it's Madden I think he's playing. He's actually playing Madden. And in the room playing Madden at his house is Micah Parsons. He's actually in there playing Madden with him and they're discussing where he's going to go. And you think, well, there's the star running back of the Giants and there's the star defensive player of the Dallas Cowboys. Bitter rivalry in the NFL, same division, been rivals for years, playing Madden in Saquon Barkley's house. I thought, what are the fans going to think of this?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. It is a great programme. And what it does, which will surprise many NFL fans who haven't seen it, is you end up leaving it or flicking it off with a certain affection for Jerry Jones.
Oh, I liked him.
There are some moments in there where he's crying about some of the decisions, good and bad, that he's made. He gets really emotional. He really invests himself in this programme. And it's I would love to see what they call the rushes. It's the bits that don't make the programme. Yeah. I would pay good money to watch what didn't make it.
For people who don't know how television works and programmes like that work, Jerry Jones will have had executive producer sign-off on what to leave in and what to take out. I'd like to see the bits that Jerry said, no, that's got to go. That's got to go.
Yeah.
he will have said to them, no, you've got to take that out.
Well, what's interesting is it starts with his financial journey.
Yeah.
And very early on, as a very astute young man, he played football, but then when his football career didn't progress after college, he started to think, how can I make money? And he was doing all those, what we call a side hustle today. He had lots of little things going on, and then he managed to accumulate a little bit of cash. He went to the bank, he got a loan, he bought a plot of land, and then the rest is history. He did some oil drilling, he had a gusher, as he called it, and then all of a sudden he's worth a lot of money, which then he leverages against himself to go and buy the Dallas Cowboys. And the biggest decision he makes, getting rid of Tom Landry.
Yeah. If anybody wants to know what it looks like to be Jerry Jones, watch Landman on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Because they are wildcatters. That's what Jerry was. You buy land in Arkansas or Texas or wherever the oil is, and you would drill. So there's obviously geological tests that you do to work out whether oil or gas might be there, and then you stick a well in the ground and you're hoping to hit. So it's the ultimate gamble. You put in everything on black, and then down it goes. And if you don't hit, you've had to pay for the land, and you're stuck with it, and it might be useless. Then you've got to go and find somewhere else. And the way Jerry made his money was he hit more often than he missed, and ended up acquiring enough cash to buy the Dallas Cowboys, and he's turned it into the most valuable franchise in any sport in the world. But if you wonder what it's all about, go and watch Landman, and you will see that is Jerry Jones, and you can see the kind of sums of money that they're talking about in there. That's once you hit, you are fine, my friend. Once you hit, you're fine. But until you hit, it can be a costly exercise. But I must admit, he does run his NFL team like a wildcatter. He's prepared to take a gamble, and he took a gamble with Micah, and it's paying off. And maybe one or two others wouldn't have done that. That maybe this is why he takes all his contract negotiations to the end, because he likes that adrenaline rush. I mean, that's how he's put together.
Yeah, and it would be interesting. The story's already written.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it's going to be published, but the Packers versus the Cowboys. If the Cowboys can nudge into the playoffs, imagine that game. Imagine the hype behind that, because that is Jerry's rep straight away in 60 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, here's one for you. I saw something the other day. They were talking about it in the US, and I was watching Colin Cowherd, I think it was. And the question, he was talking about Dak Prescott, and he's a big Dak Prescott fan. And I've always said, look, not quite accurate, but he's got receivers now in Pickens and Lamb that catch everything. So he's great for that. And Caleb Williams' knock at the minute lacks a bit of accuracy, but he's got receivers who catch everything, so it's okay. So the question was asked how good he is. And the question was asked, if you had one Hall of Fame vote, would you vote for Russell Wilson to go in or Dak Prescott? And Colin said, I'd vote for Dak. And Jason McIntyre, who's on the programme with him, said, but Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl and been in another one. But Colin said, no, Dak Prescott is more deserving of being a Hall of Famer than Russell Wilson. Now, while I don't necessarily think that's a great argument, it's fascinating as to whether he is a Hall of Famer, and if he's not, what he's got to do to get in. I'm not sure he's going to win he might win a Super Bowl, but I mean, he's in his 10th year now, so they've got to get cracking. But I don't know. I don't know where he ranks. He seems to be getting better. He seems to be brilliant at the minute. I mean, he's as good as any QB in the league right now. But is he a Hall of Famer, Dak Prescott? They seem to think
I don't know. I mean, the only notable that comes straight to the top of my noggin, Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But Dan Marino's a very highly accomplished quarterback with one heck of a cannon. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But if you're comparing Dak Prescott to Russell Wilson, I would say that Russell Wilson's 2 Super Bowl visits do edge him over Dak Prescott. You know, he won a ring against Peyton. It was in New York, remember, the cold Super Bowl back then. And then they lost that one against Tom Brady with the interception on the goal line in Phoenix, I think it was. I would go Dak Prescott just because of those 2 I would go Russell Wilson just because of those 2 Super Bowl visits.
You see, you could go for Russell Wilson and flip it the other way and say that when they beat Denver, the defense bashed up Peyton Manning that much that night. Did Russell Wilson beat Denver? Or did the Legion of Boom beat Denver? And then you just mentioned a really important point. He'd won a Super Bowl before he threw the interception. And a lot of people blame Pete Carroll for choosing to pass instead of running it, giving it Marshawn Lynch and bashing it in. But then it's on the quarterback not to throw the INT at that point as well, which he did.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you could say that he lost them a Super Bowl, and maybe the defense won the one that he was in. So I know you've got to get there, but that was a ridiculously talented group at the time.
All right, well, that progression through the season and to go through the playoffs and get to 2 Super Bowls, that's quite a journey.
Yeah.
See, I think the Cowboys under Dak have only been in the playoffs twice.
Yeah. But I think the extenuating circumstances are the ownership and the general manager probably has to carry a lot of the way the franchise has been run. Has he got a chance to get them there, really?
Yeah.
Does that help him? I mean, I must say, I'm a big believer that if you win 2 Super Bowls, then you should be a first ballot. So, like, Eli Manning should be... There's always this debate about whether he would go in as a first ballot. Well, he should.
Yeah.
Because he's won 2. And the way he won both of them was astonishing when you think about it. New England unbeaten, what he did. And then, the throw to Mario Manningham in Indianapolis is one of the all-time great Super Bowl completions. So he was driving down fields and what have you late in games. So I think he would automatically go in. But for every Eli like that, there's a I don't know, a Brad Johnson or a Trent Dilfer who won a Super Bowl with Baltimore, won a Super Bowl with Tampa, but you wouldn't ever think about them going in, and they've won one. Now, would Dak be more deserving than those two? Well, yeah, just based on what he does in the regular season.
Yeah, very true. And remember the Ravens Super Bowl victory in 2002, was it? 2002, I think it was.
When they beat the Giants.
Yeah, when they beat the Giants. Ray Lewis said, always, all you need to do is score 15 points.
Yes.
Just score 15 points because they can't score any more than 15.
Flacco won, didn't he? When the lights went out in New Orleans against San Francisco, Flacco won. But I doubt Flacco's going to get in the Hall of Fame.
I feel sorry for Joe Flacco because he's bounced around so much.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell he still loves football. He's still got a little bit in him. But I just feel for him. He's been to so many clubs.
Well, if he plays for Pittsburgh, I wonder if he'd be the first quarterback to play for all 4. Or to start for all 4. Because he was with Baltimore, drafted by Baltimore.
Yeah.
Played for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Played for Cleveland last year.
Yeah.
If he can get to Pittsburgh for next year, in some way, he must be the first. I mean, somebody listening to this who's a Flacco fan is going to say, no, if so-and-so did it. But I can't. It doesn't spring to my mind anybody who's played for all 4 teams in that division. So I'm campaigning in the off-season for Flacco to get signed by Pittsburgh just to complete the sweep.
That's unbelievable. All right, Darren. Pretty special. Thank you very much, my friend. Love it. This weekend. Remind me where you are this weekend.
So I'm doing Villa Arsenal tomorrow. Then I'm off to Madrid. I'll tell you what I'm doing on Monday night. I've not told you this.
Go on.
I'm doing the FA Cup third round draw.
Yes!
So it's Fletcher and McCoist.
Oh, no.
Presenting with Messrs Cole and Crouch. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? We are Rod Stewart away from the perfect group for a draw. We're going to try and get Sir Rod down just as a guest appearance, just to pull the first ball out. So we're doing it from Brackley Town, in the clubhouse at Brackley Town.
Lovely.
Third round draw, Monday night. I am bricking it. Because what if, right, Coley says 37, and I look down my sheet and I get 38 instead of 37 because my mince pies aren't the best. And I'm not going on telly with my glasses on through vanity. So what if I say, 38, that's Nottingham Forest, and 38 is actually Bristol City? I could make a right mess. So I'm nervous because I'm thinking if it's going to go wrong on Monday, it'll be my fault.
Oh, man.
So I'm absolutely papping it about doing it, right? But I'm buzzing at the same time. It's a bucket list job to participate in the FA Cup draw.
It really is.
I can't believe the madness inside TNT Sports to even suggest that myself and Costy should be involved. Well, especially me. Ali's probably going to be fine. I can't believe... They must have sat in a room, and I don't know whether they're all laughing and thought, well, let's just do it for kicks. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm petrified as well, because I'm frightened to death of bashing it up and doing it all wrong.
Well, I'm just going to set an alarm for that, Darren. I'll be honest with you, so that I do not miss it.
Mate, you know what? The easy bit's pulling them out.
Yeah.
Pulling out. You've only got to pull it out and say 37. I've then got to look down my list and make sure I get the right team, and have a little nugget as well about that group. So I'm nervous about doing it. I came through this morning and I'm thinking, this is real. Look, that we are genuinely doing it. I thought they would have changed their mind by now.
Well, let's be honest, Fletch. If you're up there presenting with Coisty, who we know what he's like, not only that, but you've got Messrs Crouch and Cole. I mean, it's going to be like you're in some kind of creche.
Oh, mate, I can't for the life of me. I want to know whose decision it was.
Like a circus.
Put them for it.
You're going to be like herding cats.
So that's Monday. I've got that Monday. So I'm saying at the minute that I'm going to Madrid on Tuesday, but if I balls it up on Monday, I might be taken off the Madrid game on Tuesday. So it's kind of a little asterisk in the diary.
Well, here's a question for you. At what height? Who's going to decide what height the balls are going to be placed on the table? Because you've got Crouch, who's 6'8", and you've got Joe Cole, who's 5'3".
Yes, well, exactly, and exactly. But if anybody's going to do the Sir Rod, it's got to be Crouchy because he's got a big arm going in and what have you. So
I can see that ball going all over the place. The ball's bouncing around as the ball tumbles onto the floor.
I know. The only thing I want, if I could change one thing about it, I'd get rid of the food mixer that they do it in now, and I'd get the good old velvet bag back out again.
Yeah,
I'd get the velvet bag. I'd sit there with the red velvet bag. Can you remember? You might have seen this. You might not. Because obviously we're recording this on the Friday. It's the World Cup draw later.
Yeah.
We've seen us do the World Cup draw, by the way.
Tom Brady with Rio.
Not just Tom Brady. So so Rio's like the conductor, they call it. But then they've got Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, Aaron Judge, and Wayne Gretzky.
Wow.
So they're pulling the balls out. Then they've got Robbie Williams performing, somebody else.
Hang on, Rio's the host.
Rio's the host. They call them the conductor.
Rio is hosting the event.
He's hosting the event.
Oh my God.
He's out there now. Coisty's gone. He's the Scottish legend who's been invited. So McCoist has the job of being Scotland's representative at the draw tonight. But he's got to get back to do Villa at Arsenal tomorrow. So he's getting straight off a plane and coming to Villa Park to do the game tomorrow, having been involved in the draw in Washington, D.C.
Amazing. Where can we watch this? Where can we watch it?
It's on the telly this afternoon. 5 o'clock, I think it is. Live on BBC One, the draw.
Oh, it's on BBC One?
BBC One. Yeah, I'll tell you something after the draw. I can't tell you yet, but I got given a bit of information yesterday that I'm sworn to secret, but I'm sure I can drop it in next time I'm on. So remind me of that. So,
all right.
Yeah, so Coy's at the World Cup draw. Then he's coming, so he can see how it works, so he can help me on Monday.
Brilliant.
And yeah, so that's it. Yeah, that's so. That's what
I'm more intrigued as to watching Rio host the damn thing.
I know. Well, he's no pressure. I messaged him yesterday. I said no pressure. It's only the entire world watching you.
It's the entire world watching, and from a host's perspective, these things aren't easy.
Yeah.
He's going to have multiple cameras. He's going to have someone talking in his ear. He's going to have a script that he's got to stick to. Now, let's be honest. I don't recall, and I'm not being disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. It's just pure nerve. I'm getting butterflies for the guy.
Yeah, I am. Well, I am. Yeah, I messaged him yesterday just to put him under a bit more pressure while he was out there as well, just so he knows that he is under pressure. But I was going to make the point. If you remember, can you remember the draw? That when Saint and Greavesy went to New York to the Trump Tower and Donald Trump did the draw for the Littlewoods Cup like last 16 or whatever it was in Trump Tower, which is bonkers.
Wow.
Bonkers.
Hey, Rio, if you get to watch this, good luck, brother. Woo! Wow, that is an event. That is one event you cannot balls up.
Well, I've said to so Jake, who manages me and Rio and looks after it, so Jake's out there. So I've said to him, listen, I'm not interested in Wayne Gretzky, but you've got to get some item from the draw signed by Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, and Aaron Judge for my offer. Yeah. So
amazing.
I'm hoping that they come back with something.
That is brilliant. Yeah. That is awesome. Fletch, looking forward to that. Have a good one, buddy.
And you, mate. Have a good weekend.
I'm going to go to church on Monday morning just to say a little prayer for you.
Right. Yeah, I'll be in the next pew along. I'll have been there all weekend.